They thought they could walk away without consequence, that hurting you would be just another chapter they could close and forget. But what they didn't count on was the haunting. Because guilt doesn't need permission to follow you. It slips into their thoughts at night, interrupts their peace, and plays like a broken record behind every smile. They tried to bury the truth beneath distractions and fake apologies, but you can't bury what still breathes. And what breathes louder than ever is their regret. See, you didn't just survive, you grew. And now your strength exposes their weakness. While you've been healing, they've been haunted. And no matter how far they run, the echo of what they did to you won't let them rest. Guilt is the echo that never sleeps. They walked away like nothing happened. They left you standing in the wreckage of what they caused, believing their silence would protect them from consequence. But what they didn't know, and what you must understand, is that guilt doesn't clock out. It doesn't retire. It doesn't vanish just because the world moves on. Guilt is a patient echo. It whispers in empty rooms. It rises when the distractions fall. It comes back louder when they think they've finally silenced it. And for those who have wronged you, that echo has become a scream. They told themselves you'd be fine, or worse, that you deserved what you got. They justified their betrayal, they minimized their cruelty, and they convinced themselves that you were the problem. That's how guilt hides at first, behind pride, arrogance, and the illusion of control. But guilt isn't fooled. It waits. It lingers, because the truth always comes knocking, even when the doors have been slammed shut. And when it does, it doesn't ask for permission. It just enters. It sits with them in the quiet. It stares back at them in the mirror, and suddenly all the lies they told can't compete with what they know deep inside. They hurt someone who only tried to love them. You see, guilt is a mirror that doesn't crack. It shows the reflection they can't edit or crop. They might look composed to the world, smiling, laughing, pretending, but guilt knows how to speak without words. It steals their sleep. It drains their joy. It fills their mind with what-ifs and if-onlys. And here's the truth. While they tried to break you, they broke something in themselves too. Something that success can't fix, something that new people can't replace. That something is their peace. And what's haunting them now is the realization that you were genuine, that your love, your loyalty, your light, it was real. They see now that it wasn't weakness, it was strength. It wasn't naivety, it was purity. And that realization hits harder than any revenge ever could, because when a person loses someone good because of their own selfishness, it plants a seed of torment. And that seed grows in silence, watered by guilt, rooted in regret. They thought they had time to circle back, time to apologize, time to rewrite the story. But life doesn't wait for people to grow up. And you didn't pause your healing for their return. You kept walking, you kept rising, you kept shining, and that glow you now carry, it burns them. Not because you're trying to hurt them, but because your very existence reminds them of the better path they chose to abandon. Guilt is personal. It can't be escaped through denial. It doesn't fade when ignored. And the more they run from it, the heavier it gets. That's what makes guilt so powerful. It punishes from within. It turns their own thoughts against them. It questions every relationship they try to build. It reminds them that if they could hurt you, they could hurt anyone. And that reality follows them like a shadow, day after day, night after night. Let me tell you something real. Your silence is louder than any confrontation. Your growth is louder than any revenge. Your peace is louder than any apology they never gave. And the reason they're haunted isn't because you wished harm on them, it's because they did harm. And now they have to live with the truth of it. That's the justice of the soul. That's the divine balance. You didn't have to lift a finger. Life is doing the speaking for you. Now, you might wonder, will they ever say sorry? Will they ever come clean? Maybe, maybe not. But understand this, their guilt isn't tied to your closure. Their punishment isn't your responsibility. You don't need their apology to validate your pain. You already rose from it. You already outgrew it. You already took the ashes they left behind and built something stronger. And that, right there, is what keeps them up at night. Because people don't forget the ones they wronged, especially the ones who walked away with grace. You didn't curse them. You didn't try to destroy them. You simply removed yourself, took your light, and let God handle the rest. And now the echoes of their own actions speak louder than you ever could. Their guilt is the echo that won't sleep. And even when they try to silence it with pride, distraction, or distance, it finds a way to speak. It finds a way to remind them of the one they pushed away, the one who was loyal, the one who stayed solid, the one who truly cared. So the next time you think they forgot about you, remember this: they didn't forget. They can't forget. They are haunted by the version of you they never deserved, haunted by the love they took for granted, haunted by the truth they never had the courage to face. And that haunting, that's not yours to carry. That's the cost of what they did. You've been released. You've been redeemed. You've been restored. But them, they're still listening to that echo, still trying to run from what follows them. Because when guilt grabs hold of a soul, it doesn't let go until truth is faced and healing is done. And some people, unfortunately, never get that far. Let them carry their guilt. Let them sit with their choices. Because you've got peace now. And peace, real, unshakable peace, is the loudest echo of all. They walked away with peace. They stayed with their chains. There comes a time when survival turns into wisdom, when pain becomes power, and when walking away is no longer a sign of weakness. It's the loudest form of strength. You didn't leave because you gave up. You left because staying would have meant losing yourself. You chose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and healing over holding on. But they, the ones who wronged you, stayed locked in the very chains they forged for you. And now those chains rattle louder in their lives than they ever did in yours. You see, peace isn't something you stumble into. It's a decision, a journey, a battle fought in silence. You earned your peace by walking through fire without becoming it. You cried alone. You broke down in the dark. You questioned your worth, but still, you rose. You found peace not because life made it easy, but because you stopped waiting for others to fix what they broke. You took your pieces, laid them before God, and said, "Make me whole." And he did. But what happened to them? The ones who thought they got away, the ones who thought mistreating you would come without a price. They stayed where you left them, not in location, but in spirit. They're still stuck in the same patterns, still chained to the same lies, still bound by the same pride that wouldn't let them say, "I was wrong." They thought walking away meant you lost, but what they didn't see was that you left the battlefield so they could fight their own demons without dragging you down with them. They tried to replace your presence, thinking someone else could match your soul. But deep inside, nothing feels right. They jump from distraction to distraction, yet the peace never comes. Why? Because peace doesn't live where there's deception. Peace doesn't thrive in betrayal. Peace cannot rest in a heart that knows it broke someone who loved purely. So while you sleep in peace, they toss in guilt. While you move with grace, they stumble under the weight of unspoken apologies. That's the truth they carry. And those are the chains they refuse to break. You have to understand, people don't forget the ones who brought them peace. They may try to. They may pretend they're fine. But at night, when the world gets quiet, the silence reminds them of the one they pushed away. They remember the patience, the prayers, the loyalty. They remember your presence, not because of what you did for them, but because of how they feel in your absence. You walked away with peace, and now that absence is louder than their denial. And maybe they'll never say it out loud. Maybe their pride is too loud. But in the spaces they won't speak of, they know they lost something good, something rare, something that can't be faked or forced. And what hurts them most isn't just losing you, it's knowing they lost themselves in the process. Because it takes a broken person to break someone whole. And now they're stuck trying to repair the mirror they shattered with their own actions. You, on the other hand, have grown, not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. You learned how to guard your peace, how to say no without guilt, how to value your heart without needing someone to validate it. You don't chase anymore, you attract. You don't beg to be seen. You walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth, and every step you take in peace is a reminder of the storm you overcame. They stayed with their chains because they never faced the truth. They never looked in the mirror long enough to admit their faults. They keep blaming, shifting, escaping. But here's what they can't escape: your peace. That inner stillness that no chaos can touch, that glow that no lie can dim. And while they remain trapped in a cycle of self-inflicted torment, you're building, rising, thriving. That's what walking away gave you: freedom. And freedom is a gift they can't touch until they surrender their pride. Understand this: peace doesn't mean the past didn't hurt. It means the past no longer controls you. It means you've accepted the lesson and released the burden. It means you stopped waiting for closure and became the closure. And the chains they still carry, those aren't yours to unlock. That's their journey. That's their consequence. That's their cross. One day they might reach a point where they're ready to change, to grow, to apologize. But by then you'll be long gone. Not just in distance, but in destiny. You'll be walking through doors they can't enter, standing in rooms they were never meant to follow you into. And the reason is simple: peace has elevated you. You didn't just survive what they did, you transformed. You became stronger, wiser, softer in spirit, but sharper in discernment. You found God in the ruins, and He rebuilt you in silence. Let them carry their chains. Let them wrestle with the ghosts of what they did. You've already been set free. Don't look back. Don't second-guess your decision. Peace is not a luxury. It's a necessity, and not everyone deserves access to the version of you that chose peace over pain. You walked away, not to prove a point, but to protect your purpose. You left, not because you stopped loving, but because you started loving yourself. And in doing so, you left them with a mirror and a choice: break the cycle or remain in chains. They may never admit it, but they feel the loss. They feel the distance. They feel the absence of what your presence brought. And while you walk in peace, they remain haunted by the prison of their own pride. That's the power of walking away. That's the power of choosing yourself. That's the power of peace. The mind remembers what the soul can't bury. You can lie to others. You can even lie to yourself for a while, but you can't lie to your soul. Deep beneath every mask, every forced smile, every distraction, the truth sits patiently, waiting to rise. And that's what's happening to them now. They're not at peace. They're not free. They're not untouched by what they did. because no matter how hard they try to bury it, the memory lives on. The soul refuses to forget the pain it caused, and the mind remembers everything. They told themselves they did nothing wrong. They crafted stories to make themselves the victim, twisted timelines, erased their guilt with excuses. But now, in the silence, those lies don't hold up. In the quiet spaces, when the crowd is gone and the music fades, the truth comes back like a storm. It plays like a film in their mind, moment by moment, word by word. That look in your eyes when they broke your trust. That silence when you realized they never really cared. That day you stopped explaining and started walking. They remember it all. Not just the events, but the weight of what they did. They thought forgetting would be easy. They believed time would dull the edges. But time doesn't erase a guilty conscience. In fact, time has only sharpened the pain. The more they try to forget, the more their mind reminds them. Because the mind is a recorder, not an eraser. And every time they hear your name, see someone who moves like you, or feel a kindness that mirrors what you once gave, the past comes rushing back. That's the thing about memory. It's triggered by truth, and their truth is wrapped in guilt. You were the one who showed up when no one else did, the one who gave when it cost you, the one who loved when it wasn't returned. You were the calm in their chaos, the clarity in their confusion, the anchor in their storm. And they took it for granted. They mistook your kindness for weakness. They thought you'd always be there. But now that you're gone, their soul is unsettled, because your absence revealed their damage, and no distraction can quiet that. They tried to fill the void. They tried to numb the ache. But the soul doesn't heal through noise. It heals through truth. And they're not ready for that truth. That's why they run. That's why they keep moving, keep chasing, keep pretending. Because if they ever stop long enough to be honest, they'll have to face what they did. And the mind won't let them forget, not because it's cruel, but because it's just. It's trying to bring them to a place of real reflection, real repentance. But pride holds them hostage. You, on the other hand, have done the work. You've grieved, you've healed, you've rebuilt your heart with grace and patience. You've stared down your pain and made peace with it, and now you walk lighter, not because nothing happened, but because you chose to let go of what wasn't yours to carry. But them, they're still dragging the chains of their choices. Every smile hides a scar, every night hides a tear, and every new face they encounter reminds them of the one they can't forget, you. This is not about revenge. This is not about wishing them harm. This is about truth. Because the truth always returns. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but always when it matters. And right now, that truth is weighing heavy on their heart, because they know they betrayed something pure, something rare, something real. And that kind of guilt doesn't go away, it sinks in. And they see your glow now and realize they once had access to it. They see your strength and remember when you poured it into them. They see your peace and recognize the storm they caused. That's the torment they live with. Not your anger, not your rejection, your absence. And the deeper they look into their own actions, the more they come face to face with what they tried to forget. The memory doesn't ask for permission. It arrives, it lingers, it repeats. And the irony? They thought they broke you. They thought leaving you in pain would make them feel powerful. But now it's clear they didn't break you, they revealed you. They revealed your strength, your worth, your divine resilience. And you turned that betrayal into growth, that loss into purpose, that heartbreak into healing. You moved forward. But they remain stuck in the memory of who they were when they hurt you. Their soul wants peace, but peace only comes through accountability. And until they face themselves, the guilt will keep rising. It'll whisper in their dreams. It'll show up in their reflection. It'll follow them through every relationship, every success, every silence. Because nothing external can silence an internal storm. The mind remembers what the soul can't bury. That's the law of the spirit. And for them, there's no escape from that memory. Not because you cursed them, but because their own actions wrote the story. And now that story is etched into their conscience. So let them remember. Let them wrestle. Let them sit with the weight of it all. That's not your burden anymore. You've handed it over to something greater. You've done the work. You've been set free, and freedom looks good on you. But guilt, that stays with them. Because the mind won't let go until the soul makes peace. And that peace doesn't come through pretending. It comes through truth. It comes through humility. It comes through change. And until they reach that place, they'll keep being haunted by what they tried to bury, because the mind remembers. And the soul always demands truth. Time doesn't heal a guilty heart. It exposes it. They said time heals all wounds, but that's only part of the truth. Time can soothe a broken heart, mend shattered dreams, and help you forget the sound of someone's voice. But when it comes to guilt, real, soul-deep guilt, time doesn't heal, it reveals. It exposes. It strips away the layers of denial and pride and leaves a person standing face to face with what they've done. That's what's happening to them now. The ones who wronged you, who walked away like you were nothing, who betrayed your loyalty, they're not healing. They're unraveling. Because time is showing them the truth. And that truth is burning through their soul. At first they laughed, they pretended. They wore their betrayal like armor, proud of their choices, proud of their coldness. They convinced themselves that hurting you was justified, that it was your fault, that they were just doing what they had to do. But time has a funny way of peeling back the lies. It doesn't forget like people do. It waits, it watches, and eventually it shows up with receipts. And now when they look in the mirror, they don't see strength. They see shame. They see a reflection that reminds them of everything they tried to run from. They thought they could outrun their choices. They thought if enough days passed, the pain would fade, the guilt would go quiet, and the memory of what they did would become a distant blur. But guilt doesn't age like memories. It doesn't soften. It settles in deeper. It becomes a part of who they are. Because while time helps the innocent move on, it traps the guilty in a prison of their own making, and they feel it now, slowly, deeply, painfully. Every reminder of you is a wound that time refuses to heal. Every time they see someone with a heart like yours, they remember the one they broke. Every time they crave peace, they're reminded that peace doesn't visit those who destroy it in others. You see, time is neutral. It heals what's honest and exposes what's hidden. And for them, everything they buried is rising to the surface. They see now what they couldn't see then. They see the value of your presence, the weight of your love, the rarity of your spirit. Time has shown them that you weren't just another chapter, you were the turning point. You were the blessing they mistook for a burden. And now, as the days stretch on, that realization is their torment. Not because you cursed them, but because time is doing the revealing that their pride never allowed. It's not your silence that's loudest. It's their conscience. And that conscience is no longer muffled by the noise of ego. Time has quieted the distractions. It has pulled away the temporary fixes, the fake relationships, the hollow achievements. And now, in the stillness of reflection, they are left with one truth. They wronged someone who only wanted to see them win. You walked away with your dignity. You rebuilt your life in silence. You poured your pain into growth, And as you elevated, they deteriorated. Not physically, not publicly, but internally, where guilt carves the deepest wounds. While you've been blossoming, they've been breaking. Because time has a balance, it rewards the heart that stayed true and confronts the heart that chose deceit. They may never say it. Their pride still whispers, "You're fine. Keep going." But their soul knows different. Their sleepless nights, their restless thoughts, their fear of being truly seen, it all speaks of the guilt that time has refused to let them bury. Because they didn't just lose you, they lost the version of themselves that was still redeemable in your eyes. And now, even if they returned, time has changed the landscape. You're no longer where they left you. That's the part they never expected. That while they stayed stuck in guilt, you grew in grace. You built peace in the ruins. You learned how to breathe again without begging anyone to stay. You realized your worth didn't need their validation, and now that confidence exposes their weakness. Your calm exposes their chaos. Your success shines a light on their failure. Not in status, but in character. Time didn't heal them because they never wanted to be healed. They wanted to be right. They wanted to win. But now they realize this wasn't about winning. It was about integrity. And they lost that the moment they betrayed you. Time has made that clear. No amount of pretending can cover it up now. They carry that truth like a shadow, and everywhere they go, it follows. It doesn't matter how much they post, how much they smile, how loud they laugh. Guilt is silent, but suffocating. And time has amplified that silence. The days that used to distract them now remind them. The faces they used to use now disappoint them. The joy they chased is hollow because true joy can't live in a heart that's still hiding. And so they remain exposed, not by your words, but by time's quiet judgment. Because time doesn't need to shout. It just reveals. Slowly, relentlessly, day after day, until even they can't pretend anymore. They are haunted by what they tried to hide, by the apology they never gave, by the healing they never sought, by the love they discarded. And you're free, you're whole. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not looking back, you're looking up. You don't need revenge. Time has already handled that. You've seen the truth unfold, and you've kept your peace. That's the reward of the righteous, not in vengeance, but in peace that can't be shaken, joy that can't be faked, wholeness that can't be stolen. So let time do what it does. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to force karma. Time is already showing them what they lost. Time is already showing you what you've gained. And in the end, that's more than justice. That's redemption. Your light exposes their darkness. They never expected you to rise. They thought breaking you would be the end of your story, but it was only the beginning. They didn't see you as light. They saw you as weak, soft, easy to manipulate. But what they called weakness was your strength in disguise. What they thought was naivety was your grace holding back the fire. And now, in your healing, in your glow, in your unstoppable rise, you are revealing something they cannot run from, their own darkness. It's not that you've tried to expose them. You didn't go looking for revenge. You didn't start rumors or scream your pain to the world. You simply chose to heal. You chose to grow. You chose to turn your back on the drama and walk toward your purpose. And that decision, that silence, that peace, it shook them more than any war you could have waged. Because the truth is, when a person who was once broken starts to shine, it throws a harsh light on everyone who tried to dim them. They can't stand it, not because you've done anything wrong, but because they see themselves in comparison. And next to your strength, their weakness is obvious. Next to your peace, their chaos is unbearable. Next to your authenticity, their lies scream louder than ever. Your light exposes their darkness, not because you're trying to, but because light always reveals what darkness tries to hide. That's the power of becoming who you were created to be. It's not loud, it's not prideful, it's rooted in something higher. You're not driven by vengeance, you're fueled by purpose. And when you begin to walk in that purpose, people who once played with your value start to feel the weight of their own emptiness. That's what's happening now. They mocked your softness, but now they miss your spirit. They took your loyalty for granted, but now they crave that connection again. But it's too late, because you've changed, you've evolved, you've elevated. And what hurts them most isn't that you're winning, it's that you're glowing without them, that your life is still unfolding beautifully after they left you in the dirt, that you didn't crumble, you transformed. You turned the betrayal into boundaries. You turned the rejection into redirection. And every time they look at you, they see what they could have had and what they'll never get back. It's not about material success. It's about soul success. That calm in your eyes, that unshakable smile, that discernment in your spirit, it reveals just how far you've come. And while you radiate clarity, they remain confused. While you move with grace, they're stuck trying to replicate what can't be copied, your essence. That's the thing about light. It's not just seen, it's felt. And your energy now speaks louder than your voice ever could. They don't know how to handle it, because now they can't lie to themselves like they used to. They can't justify their actions with the same arrogance. The people around them might still be fooled, but they know the truth. Deep down, they know they mishandled someone chosen, someone sent into their life as a gift, not a convenience. Someone who brought peace, love, and authenticity, all things they didn't know how to handle. Now that you've walked away, that darkness is catching up. Their pride can't mask the guilt. Their distractions can't silence the echo. And when they see your light, whether online, through mutual connections, or even just in memory, it cuts deep. Not because you're trying to hurt them, but because they hurt themselves by letting you go. You didn't dim their light, they never had it. What they had was your reflection. You were the glow in the room, the warmth in the cold, the clarity in their confusion. And now that your presence is gone, the void feels unbearable. And instead of facing their own demons, they blame your light for exposing them. But the truth is, you're not responsible for their pain, only for your healing. The world needs your light. That's why you couldn't stay small, couldn't stay broken, couldn't stay in rooms where your spirit was dimmed. Your calling was too big for their comfort, your destiny too strong for their games. You were never meant to be hidden. You were meant to shine. And when light shines, it reveals everything in the room, the good, the bad, the broken, and the real. That's what you're doing now. So don't shrink. Don't apologize for outgrowing the ones who couldn't handle your heart. Don't dim your flame for the sake of someone who used to sit in your glow but never contributed to the fire. Keep shining, keep rising, keep healing, because your elevation is divine, your journey is sacred, and your light is your proof, not that they were wrong, but that God was always right about you. Let them watch, let them feel it, let them wrestle with the truth that their darkness couldn't destroy you, that their silence didn't stop you, that their absence became your blessing. And if they're uncomfortable now, it's not your fault. It's their conscience finally catching up. That's the effect of true light. It doesn't ask for attention, it commands it. It doesn't seek revenge, it reveals the truth. And the truth is this: you are free. You are chosen. You are anointed. You are glowing with a light that hell itself couldn't extinguish. And those who tried to dim you, they are now sitting in the shadows of their own making, watching you shine with the brilliance of someone who turned pain into power. Your light exposes their darkness, and that's the justice they never saw coming.